are on Find It today, extra special guest at this 4 o'clock time slot. And I will go as far to say is he is one of the most beloved college coaches of all time. He is an amazing human being. I am so honored to have Jim Tressel on the show. He is currently the president of Youngstown State University. Let's show his intro and he'll be right back with us. Yay! He's here.
I recognize those pictures there. I know that young lady in her graduation gown.
Yes, you do. And that's how I have the privilege and the amazing honor to even know who you are, is because of my wonderful daughter introduced me to you. And that has been a journey in itself. But I want to talk a lot about Youngstown State because it's near and dear to my heart. Tori just buzzed in and did a smiley face. I saw
that. Live. Hi, Tori.
And Youngstown State is an amazing university, and it's near and dear to my heart personally because my daughter did go there, and mostly because of you, and you're an amazing recruiter, as we all know that. But a lot of people are here because you're Coach Tressel forever. That will never, ever, ever go away. And so do you honestly, do you know the impact that you left in Columbus? The amount of people who still talk about you and are inspired by you and admire you.
Now, we had 10 wonderful years there, and I actually had 3 years as an assistant coach back in the 80s there. And you talk about being blessed, and we had an unbelievable opportunity to meet so many people, and I still talk with my former guys all the time from there and friends from back there. In fact, about 15 of us are going to be at a little lake this coming weekend with a little fishing trip right down there in Central Ohio that every year we get the old band together and have some fun and maybe even have a cigar. And we don't catch many fish, but we have a lot of time together. And we just remind one another how blessed we were to have that time together and see the joy in the hearts of the Buckeye fans when we had a good game and be with them there when we didn't have as good a game. And it was a magical time for us.
Yes, that was an amazing decade for sure. And, we also have to talk about the fact that you had a signature style, right? It was really wide known, not just in Ohio, but that Coach Tressel wore the sweater vests. Do you still wear sweater vests?
Oh, absolutely. It's how things. It's funny stories how they become your. I guess the way you're supposed to look. When I first got to Ohio State as the head coach, they asked me. They said, "Well, what do you plan to wear on the sideline?" I said, "Gosh, I don't know. What do you want me to wear?" And they said, "Well, what did you wear at Youngstown State?" I said, "Well, it's a little chilly up in Youngstown. Our stadium was nicknamed the Ice Castle, and we played a lot of night games." I said, "So, a lot of the time I wore a sweater vest," and they said, "Okay, you're wearing a sweater vest. And even if the game's at 12 noon in Ohio Stadium and it's 92 degrees, you're wearing a sweater vest." And I thought, well, whatever, I'll do what you ask. And so then we started wearing that forever.
That's amazing. I didn't realize that story. That's so fun. But I got to tell you, so going with an alignment of making an impact, and that you still are so loved, and people call you a legend in Columbus. People are, you're very loved. This guy right here stole your look. His name's CJ Jones. And I believe you knew his uncle. He's passed now, his aunt and uncle, CJ Jones. But it cracks me up because the first time I met him, they were calling him Tressel. And I said, "What? Why are you calling him Tressel? Is his last name really Tressel?" And they're like, "No, he really likes Jim Tressel, and he likes to wear kind of like his look. And he's called, everyone calls him Tressel. Like no one calls him CJ Jones that I know about. So CJ, I think he's watching. I know that he loves you just like so many, many more. And I just wanted to share.
CJ's looking good.
CJ's sporting the Argyle sweater there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So in your time of coaching for Ohio State, the Ohio State University, can you share anything with us? Any funny stories, memorable things that you think about every once in a while that maybe not anyone knows? Maybe something new you can share.
Well, once or twice I've shared the story of our 2002 year when it started off pretty well, and it was about mid-season, and we were in our team meeting room, and we had a young guy named Ivan Douglas. Unfortunately, Ivan just passed this past year, and had the hard job of speaking at his funeral. But wonderful young guy, about 6'7", 300 and some odd pounds. And I remember saying to Ivan midway through that year, I said, Ivan, you really need a haircut. I said, you're looking a little scraggly. And he said, no, coach, you need to grow your hair longer. And you need to be a little more hip. And I said, well, ID, we called him ID. I said, ID, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. If we win the national championship, which this was like we were 5-0, so we were a long way from winning the national championship. I said, if we win the national championship, win all of our games, I'll grow cornrows and I'll look like you. And so that was it. We didn't, we laughed and everything. And well, wouldn't you know it, about 9 weeks later, we're national champions. We're 14-0. And after the game, Ivan comes up to me and says, okay, you better start growing your hair out. And I said, oh, yeah, I did tell you that, didn't I? Okay. So I started growing my hair a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And after recruiting was over, we started our winter workouts with the kids. And I thought, I better keep my promise. And so I got a hold of one of the girls on the track team. And I said, could you make cornrows in this old gray hair? And she said, well, I can try, and, and so forth. So I set it up. I went over to her apartment, and she had all of her stuff, and she was pulling on my hair. I mean, it was killing me. And she put these extenders in. I had these long gray extenders, and I had the cornrows all the way back. And so I told Ellen, I said, I'm going to be gone an hour or two, but, I'll be back. I got to do this thing. I promised these guys. And so it was like almost midnight. I wasn't back. And she's like, what in the heck is going on? This doesn't sound right. This head coach is over at one of the track girls' apartments. This doesn't seem right. Well, finally I got back, and my head hurt so bad. She had pulled those cornrows so tight that I had to sleep on my face, and I could barely sleep. But we had a 6 a.m. workout planned with our team. And so I was going to go in there at like 4:30 in the morning and hide in my office, let all the guys get into the Woody Hayes Center and the indoor center. And then when they were all in there, I was going to come running out there with my cornrows. And so I hid in there, and coaches got everyone in there. And so I ran out there and brought the house down a little bit. And I told those guys that, when you make a promise, you keep a promise, and that I was only going to keep them for 2 days, and I was going to hide the entire 2 days, not let anyone see me. And if it were 2022, cell phone cameras and all the rest, but our guys were all out there ready for their workout. And the only one that got pictures and videos of it was our video guy named Mark Quisenberry. And he has promised me that he would hold those to his death and not let anyone see me in my cornrows. But what was interesting was it hurt more taking them out than putting them in. And so I will never get cornrows again. But a little known fact, I was sporting the cornrows in, I guess it was either February or March of 2003.
Wow. That I have a visual too. And I combed the internet, and I did not see any pictures of you with cornrows or long
No,
hair. So they
no.
did a good job. Rex Sykes just popped in. Wow, cool. He is an amazing author, really actor, producer out on the West Coast. Bob Donnell, he's here. Hello there. Great guest and great host. Thank you, Bob. There's a lot of people piping in to see you and to say hello. But, you know, it's funny because, you know, you are true to your word, you know, and I want to show you, well, let me tell you this first. I talked to Brad Basil the other day, Mr. Basil, and I will quote, Len, you can pop that on. Jim Tressel was a great coach, but he taught just as much off of the field. And that is what he said. And just like you staying true to your word that, if we win, I'll get cornrows. Well, that is a painful thing to do. And you did it. And that's amazing. And so then I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get Drew to come on and say something that he thinks about you as well.
Hi, I'm Drew Basil. I played for Coach Truss in 2010 at Ohio State. He helped me to learn how to take responsibility and not blame others. It's really helped with my perspective on life.
Yeah. And so the theme here is everything I thought I knew about you before I knew you. I get vibes on people, and your demeanor on the sideline and all of the rest. It was a good feeling. But then when I actually got to meet you through my daughter, I was like, oh, he is such the real deal. You walk the walk, you talk the talk, all of the rest. And I don't know, for everyone else that's listening, your voice is like butter. It is amazing, and it's very calming. And I remember Tori saying to me too, she's like, I have anxieties. And when I talk to him about anything, it's relaxing. So that's also a gift. I have to say that. But anyway, thank you for staying true to your word and everything. And thank you for sharing the cornrow story. And that was a perfect segue into exactly what you've taught some of the people on and off the field. So,
Well, Drew Basil's a great kid. He's from your hometown.
yes.
And he outkicked his coverage. You know, he was a kicker. And he outkicked his coverage when Melissa agreed to marry him. And I think they've got one little one now, or is it two? I'm not sure. But
and
he was a softball player at Ohio State.
Yes, she was a softball player, and Drew, you know, obviously played for you a year. And he at the Chillicothe City Schools, I used to watch him play soccer, and he would kick, and his throw-ins. I mean, I know he's got a good leg and a good foot, but his throw-ins were like, he could throw in a ball and it would just go it was incredible. We were always excited to watch on the sidelines him throwing a ball. Bob Donnell says, what do you think makes a great coach versus an average coach? Now, Bob Donnell is an author and also known for his questions. Beautiful question, Bob. What do you think makes a great coach versus an average coach?
Well, the obvious thing people might think of in this society is your win-loss record. But in my opinion, just how much genuine care and concern that the coach has for the student athletes, for the players, and his willingness to make sure that every single one of them feels valued, feels important, that you're there for every one of them, that, you know, no matter what time, day or night, you know, that to me has always been the thing that you know, we wanted to try to do. Of course, we wanted to win games and all that, and that's popular and whatnot. But what's more exciting to me is to watch what these guys are doing at age 30 and 35 and 40 and 45, and see how they're carrying on what they learned and growing as men and husbands and fathers and professionals and difference makers in their community. You don't really know the value of a coach until you go out there a few decades and find out what are the students doing that were part of his or her team.
That's so true. And, you know, as I sit here and listen to you, and I get chills because, you know, coaching, when you coached, it wasn't just coaching, teaching the game and all of that. I feel like you were more of like this father figure to all of these young men on and off the field and encouraging them. And being there for them. And the fact that you talk about still, I've talked to so many people prior to this interview with you, just Deidre Lagarde, DD, a great man. So excited to be able to listen. Hello, Debbie. Hi, DD. She is a great lady. She's going through a lot right now. Thank you for watching. But I've talked to numerous people about you, and it's a common theme with you. And it's even people who just can't stand Ohio State still really like you. And it's just like a common thread. And, I always say, my mom always taught me too, not everyone's going to like you just because maybe they just don't want to like you. But every single person I've spoken to, it's like they've broken the mold when they made you. It's just incredible to hear the stories and the love, the outpouring. Patty Hartsock says, hello, Jim.
Oh,
and
man.
Greetings to Ellen.
Patty's the best. She hosted our entire team down at the farm, and we ruined her amphibious gator or whatever. Well, I forget who it was, Lydell Ross or one of those guys smashed it into a tree, and she fed us, and she let the kids milk cows and shoot skeet, and we ate. Oh my goodness. And really, people want to talk about, what's the difference between good teams and great teams and so forth. Really, the Hartsock farm experience for our kids probably was the glue that had them realize that, what, we're all in this together. We all come from different backgrounds. We all love one another. And you know what? Fortunately, we were very talented as well and went on and did great things. But I can't thank the Hartsocks enough. I mean, they're difference makers.
They are. And I was going to do something else to bring this guy on, but since Patty piped in.
Coach Tress, Ben Hartsock here. Thanks so much for being willing to go on a show in my hometown of Chillicothe, Ohio. Wanted to tell you one of the things that has always stuck with me about our time together. I could easily do lots of things. I could bring up the fact my kids' names, even though you've never met them before. But the one that sticks out is the thing you said the most often. Remember who you are. If I heard it once, I heard it a million times. It's become more impactful as an adult, remembering who I am, a child of God, a Buckeye brother, a teammate, a father, a son. It's been such a powerful thing that I try to instill in my own kids today. It's the power of a mantra. So thankful for that and countless other lessons you taught to me and thousands of others of players and students along the way. So grateful for you, Coach. Thanks a bunch.
Ben is special.
I could, and this is what's crazy in a good way, crazy good. I could do this all day long. Okay. Everyone loves you and appreciates you. And especially the people who have been impacted by you, and you coaching them or teaching them. And now, the Youngstown State University student population are so blessed to have a leader like you. I mean, it's amazing. And I'm just so grateful, so grateful. But I was going to I have your book here, and I love it because it's a pocketbook, no pun. I like a pocketbook, but it's a pocketbook. Like, I love it because it has a lot of your favorite verses, Bible verses, but also quotes. And then in some places you've used your own words to explain what the quote means to you. And I was going to talk about on page 11, it's who you are. When I read that one specifically, it really hit me. And if you don't mind, can you elaborate on that one?
Well, one thing we talked a lot with our student athletes and with one another as coaches is that really in life, there's two major categories. One is what you do. And, our guys played football and went to college, and our coaches coached and recruited players, and that's what they did. But who they are really is what life is all about. And what is their faith? What is their willingness to love and care for others? What's their willingness to go out and serve others? who are they as a family member? What kind of husband will they be? What kind of father will they be? What kind of friend will they be? Maurice Claret always used to remind us, and he had his ups and downs, but he is doing amazing things right now. But he used to always remind us after he went through his tough times, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And who you are is the kind of friend that you are, and that, yes, we want to get A's in our classes, and yes, we want to win games, and yes, we want to bench press so much or run certain speed or, make money or have a house or all those. That's what you do. But who you are really is what life is all about. And we wanted our guys to make sure that they had goals in terms of growing in who they are as much as in what they do. And so that was an important part of our everyday discussions.
That's good. That's good stuff. And, this show is really all about finding it. And what is finding it? Finding anything in life that, whether that's self-love and joy, kindness, compassion, and all the things, right, that we really want and yearn for in this lifetime. And what advice do you have for other people when you say who you are? What if they're trying to find who they are? What advice do you give your students or your past athletes when you can tell when someone's really struggling to find themselves? What advice do you give our listeners even here today?
Well, so much in this society, we're kind of judged by what we do. Before we won any games, no one wanted me to be on their great podcast like Find It. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden we won some games and people wanted us to go speak because, we won games. Or we had some notoriety. But really, the advice that we gave our guys all the time, and we continue to talk to them about, is every day, if you begin your day thinking about the right things and thinking about those things that really shape who you are, whether it's your walk with the Lord or it's your time as a family, what you're doing on behalf of your family or what you're doing on behalf of others, how you're trying to make a difference for others, all those things we have to remind ourselves that that's what life is all about, and that the other things come and go. It's a trivia question. And, what year did you win the championship, or how many sales did you make last year, in your sales organization or whatever. That comes and goes. But spending that time really working on that good feeling about who you are. I'm sure, Debbie, you're hearing a lot in your world, just like we are here, about the fragile mental health of people and the tough times, that COVID exacerbated and the divisive world we live in and so forth. And I think part of it is because of all the constant information and the constant distractions and the constant rankings and stereotypes of what makes a successful person, that we've gone away from really feeling good about who we are. And if I feel good about who I am, it won't really matter how many games we win. I might not be employed, or how many sales I make. I might not be employed. But if I feel good about who I am and what I'm trying to impact in life, then I think I can handle those tough times. But if our mental health is all built on what is someone tweeting about me or Instagramming about me, or what does someone else think, finding it, to me, is a neat title for a discussion, because finding that inner satisfaction and that peace of mind, knowing that you've done everything you can possibly do for the good of the group, for the good of your family, for the good of who you are, and if you can find that, you'll be able to live with how many sales you make or how many games you win or whatever. And I really believe, and we talked a lot about it with our staff, is the better we are at understanding who we are will make us better coaches, will make us better players, will make us, because we'll feel good about who we are. And now we can just go and let our talents take over and go do what we've been taught to do. But I'm really concerned about how we've lost sight, especially with our young people being bombarded with all this social media and so distracted from what's really important, that I can see why we have the mental health challenges and situations that we're dealing with.
I 100% agree. Heather Sampson Bryant. Hi, Heather. I love this girl. Love this. Coach Tressel is such a positive and motivational force in this world. Yes, you are. Thank you, Heather. I know in the book you say success is a journey. I love that. And it kind of goes in alignment with what you're saying about social media, the comparisons, instant gratification of, I'm going to post this. Hope I get this many likes. Are they saying this? Are they, like everything's instantaneous. But like in this book, you're saying in the very front of it, listen, success is a journey. It's a process. It's not instant gratification. And I'm sure in your own life, Coach Tressel, Mr. Tressel, President Tressel, all the names and all the hats you wear, you've not always had it so easy. I'm sure tough times have come upon you. And you're saying to us that if you find who you are and you value yourself, then all the rest of the stuff kind of bounces off, right?
I don't know if it bounces off, but you're able to handle it because, you're going to have disappointments. And I think young people sometimes think, I talk to my students all the time about, I'm trying to go a little linear line here, that life is a straight line. And really, life isn't a straight line. Mm-hmm. You are progressing a little bit and then you hit a little dip. Something might happen. Studied for the wrong stuff on the test. Didn't get promoted. Didn't make the first string. Didn't win the game. Girl wouldn't go to the prom with me. I don't care what it happens to be. You're going to hit those moments. But the journey of life is all about when you hit those tough moments that you can get back going in the right direction. How you handle the hard times is really what life is all about. And I can honestly say, and I bet you a lot of the listeners can say the same, some of the things that happened in our lives that we thought were the most difficult, devastating things ever ended up turning into opportunities and blessings that you never knew you would have. But you didn't know it at the time, and it hurt, and you can't even believe that it happened or whatever. It's all about how you handle it. And I remember when we left Ohio State, and one of my old mentors said to me, one of the most impactful, profound statements ever made, Dr. Pat Spurgeon, and he was an old English professor that was a guy that I talked to constantly. When we left Ohio State, he said, the next chapter of your life will have much more impact than this last one. And I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute. Now, I was just the head coach at Ohio State. What do you mean my next chapter? He said, listen to me. Your next chapter in life will have more impact than your last one if, here's the important part, if you believe it will. And that you have to go and make it that way. Well, it's the same thing with any disappointment in our lives. If I didn't get the job, if I didn't get into, the medical school I wanted to get into, whatever, your next chapter can and will be more impactful if you totally believe that it will, and you go do the things on that journey of success that are called for the moment. And so that's why I love the sport of football, because never in a game did every play go the way you wanted. Every season didn't go the way you wanted. You learned so many lessons when you were knocked down and disappointed and it didn't happen the way you wanted it. You learned that lesson that, you know what? What's important is what's next. Mm. That's what's important. And everybody on this call right now could go back in their life and think about a disappointment, think about something that didn't go the way they wanted, and think about how they handled it successfully or didn't handle it. And it allowed them to spiral a little bit. And in that law of progression, it isn't that you're going to stay in a linear fashion. We know we're going to dip. The key is make your dips short. Mm-hmm. So if your dips go down and you crash, that's when real problems occur. Yeah. And that's when your difficulties become much greater than they had to be. And, that's the beauty of that journey of success. We always talked about the fact that the first step in the journey is having that dream and setting those goals and making those plans and thinking about all those things you want to do. Second step in that journey is the work. And we've got to make sure that our young people understand that even though your people try to convince you that things are easy, they're not. It takes extraordinary work to realize those dreams. But then the third and most important, in my opinion, step in that journey of success is that you're going to handle the tough times. Yeah. And you're going to have to handle the good times. Because sometimes you think, I got this. I've got this world figured out. It's going to keep going great. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And then you realize, I think I just became a little complacent. Yeah. And I didn't handle that success I was having. Hey, I got an A on the first test. I got this subject down, and I didn't study as hard for the second test. The second test is harder than the first test. And all of a sudden, reality strikes. So that third step in that journey is you got to handle the ups and the downs. And it's what you do at every inflection point that's critical. And then we used to always say that the final step in that journey of success is simply believing that you will. Having that belief in yourself, knowing you can, surrounding yourself with the right people who can help you get it done, but believing that you're going to get to that dream and get to that goal. Ultimately, you have to believe in yourself.
That is so true. And sometimes it's not as easily said or as done as it is to say. But also, I just want to reiterate this too, to our listeners and to me. I'm a sponge right now. I'm taking this all in, and I'll watch this on replay anytime I need a little bit of a boost. Believing in yourself is super important, but then you have to put the action behind it, is what you're telling us. So you can be yes. And, we can wish and dream and believe and then not take action, and then our dreams aren't going to be realized. And I like the analogy about the tests too, because, I have a college student, so it's good. It's all good. But, I also want to say that my dad is listening live. My sister just put a message in, and this is the first podcast he's watched live. I think that's cute. But so I want to say too, I'm going to go back a little bit to the fact that the legacy that you've left in Columbus, the amount of admiration that people all around, even outside of the state of Ohio, have for you. And I have a really close girlfriend. We went all through school together, and she doesn't know you personally, but, and she's not a big fan of very many people. You have to really earn it. Like, she is that girl. She's just like, if I love you, I'm going to love you because of X, Y, and Z. And this. So I just want you to, this is Susan, one of my besties.
Coach Tressel, I'm a huge Ohio State fan, and you are my favorite football coach. I love how you led the program with character and integrity. I love how you led the team with your calm, cool, collected attitude. Nothing ever rattled you. It was very reassuring for me as a fan knowing you were over on the sidelines every Saturday.
And she means that. I was like, you are such a Tressel fan. I would love to have you, of all my friends, she has always, sang your praises. And so I wanted you to know that. And the fact that everyone can see. Now, this is a question I've always kind of wondered. I have never witnessed you being, I'm trying to be nice about it because I watch a lot of sports and I watch a lot of coaches flip out, but I always felt like you were so calm. And even when things weren't going that great. So are you just a naturally calm person, or is that something you've learned to do over the years?
Well, Debbie, my dad was a coach for years, and I got to watch him every day, and he always had that confident, calm demeanor. And then once I realized, while you're coaching, you're so busy, and the way I looked at it was, if something happened in the game that didn't go our way, maybe I thought it was a bad call or whatever it happened to be, I really didn't feel as if I wanted to expend the emotional time and energy about that. I wanted to think about, okay, here's the situation. What do we need to do next? And so I think it was just a little bit of I thought we could do the job better by not overreacting, to something that's disappointing to us, and get distracted. And I think, again, I think that's why our young people have it harder than we had it coming up, because not only do they have the natural things that distract them and the natural ups and downs, but they've got these tens of thousands of people around them talking about, what they like, don't like, posting things, putting likes up and, thumbs down and all those things. And I think above all else, it just distracts you from really what you need to be doing. And I felt that way about overreacting on the sideline or really at any point in time, whether it was practice or is that we had so little time to do what we needed to do, that to utilize any of that time for any of those, antics, that type of thing, just, it didn't make sense to me. And again, I thought back to my dad's example, and I read once, not too long ago, that the one thing that the human being is most capable of learning from is example. And that's why any example we give as parents or friends or coaches or people that have a podcast or you name it, is the most valuable thing we have is our example for others. And that's why, when I think about a lot of our students who might be struggling and so forth, I keep reminding myself that, maybe they haven't had enough good examples. Maybe growing up, they didn't have the example that I was blessed to have the greatest mom and dad in the world, and Tori has the greatest mom and dad in the world, and got to see that every day on display, and you learn from example, and so I think it's important for us, as folks out there, that you never know who's watching, you never know who's paying attention and learning from you, from your example. Mm-hmm. And I certainly didn't want our players going through all kinds of antics when things didn't go right. I wanted them focusing on what can we do better? What's the situation? How can we right the ship? And, I think that's so important. Right now, we seem to have this overreactive, overzealous way that we carry ourselves, whether it's, what we put on Facebook or Instagram or what we say to others. And I'm just not sure that's the right example.
I agree with you. I want to say I had read a book when my kids were really young, and it was called Children Are What They Live. Mm-hmm. And very simply stated, just like you said, you can talk them to death about what they should do, but they're really going to do what they see you do,
Right. And they see everything.
They see everything. Trisha Harp. Oh, thank you for your service, Trisha. I was thinking about you every Memorial Day. My dad is watching also. Oh, I should have thought ahead of time for him to watch with Marvin. That's my dad. Oh, thanks, Trisha. Yeah, we're all excited. This has just been a whole thing. I've been so excited to have you on. So thank you again. Children are what they live. So that's good. And the other part of this too, the reminder that I always tell my kids and anyone that I can talk to, because I do work in the schools a little bit with an anti-drug and educational program. So I always say, listen, when you see something on Facebook or you see something on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and it might look like someone has this glorious life and you just don't feel like you can match up, that is a one moment in time. People are going to post their fun things, and they're going to post things that they're proud of most generally. And so there's another 23 hours of the day. So, we all have our stuff. So we can't always, like, the comparison game is no. No. So I appreciate it.
It's hard for students.
It is.
Really, it's the world that they live in. And when we were growing up, we didn't know if anyone had those glorious moments or
not.
And we just knew them from our interactions personally with them. So it's a challenging time. And that's why I used to tell our coaches all the time, there's never been a more important time for great coaches or great teachers or great parents, because this is the most difficult time in my lifetime to have young people growing up. And so that's why these teachers, coaches, pastors, you name it, those examples and their being there for kids is critical.
I 100% agree. Now I'm going to go back to this. So when I say that you're very calm, what was happening right here? Because that looks like a moment. Do you remember when that was?
No.
Do you remember that moment?
Looks like we were drenched. It looks like my sweater vest was rained on there. But we had a lot of fun, moments, and there's nothing wrong with exuding excitement.
Oh, I love that. No, I love it. That's amazing. Like, that's like, yes, it's the encouraging, the way you are encouraging. It's just
proud of you. What you're saying is, whoever you're making eye contact with, is you're saying, hey, I'm proud of you. That's exactly what we practiced, or that's exactly how you should do it. Wait a minute, I got to turn my phone off.
I can't believe it hasn't rang before now.
Well, it's been dinging with text or something, but
yeah, that encouragement and all of that is what is now going to bring me on to this, because you also encouraged this gal.
Hello, Mr. Jim Tressel. It's nice to see you again, at least through my mother. I would like to say how much I appreciate and love our friendship. And I remember you told you my freshman year of college, I said, I want to be a lawyer. And you said, you can do it. And I have a job at the prosecutor's office and I'm in law school. So you were right, like always. Go Gwens.
Go Gwens.
Your daughter's a special girl, and it was fun to watch her blossom and gain that confidence that she could do whatever she wanted to do. And in fact, her old roommate, Katie Gamble, just finished graduate school. She was working as a grad student for us in a new project we have, and she's going to Denver.
Yeah.
She's moving out to Denver, and I remember those two 18-year-olds, coming to campus together, and both of them, wondering what life was going to be like and wondering if they could. And look at the two of them doing extraordinary things.
Oh, I know. And it's so amazing. And I want to go back to the fact that, Youngstown State University and namely you, and the encouragement that you gave her. And you're right, Tori. Oh, that's my sister. My favorite podcast so far. Well, good, sissy. I'm glad. But it was, Tori struggled a little bit with anxieties and things like that, and didn't think that she would be able to maybe go to a larger school or whatever. But I'm going to tell you the truth. And I want to say this publicly. And I know Tori and I talked about it, and she said it's totally fine. But if it had not been for Youngstown State and her beginning years in college, I'm not sure how far along she would have gotten. I think that there's no coincidences in life. I feel that when she was a junior and we buzzed up to Youngstown State to interview you about drug testing athletes, was when we first met you. That was meant to be. And then the connection with the softball and her, and then not deciding to play softball, but then getting the presidential scholarship and going there, that whole experience. And this is what I really want people to understand, is that when Coach Tressel says sometimes you might not do something you think you're going to do, or get something that you're going to get, but then you look back and you think, this is exactly where I needed to be and the experiences that I needed in order to do what I'm doing now. And that was her situation and her life's journey. And so we all are just indebted and thankful to you and the university. And I got to tell you too, people, I don't know if anybody's ever taken a tour at Youngstown State University, but that is the most beautiful park-like campus. It's beautiful. And now, since you've been there, you've done all kinds of stuff. Could you enlighten all of us about some of the changes and the updates? And then I also want to talk about the endowment and you and your wife's
I
name.
have to show my coasters.
Yay!
These are straight out of Chillicothe, huh?
Yep. Yep.
Look at that. Tree Campus USA.
Yes. Sandy Steinbrook's daughter. And I think she has a company now called Harper Designs, made those for us.
These are awesome. I keep them here, so I've got my Chick-fil-A cup right there, on them now. But this is a neat place. Youngstown State University is very important to this region. It's a difference maker for so many students. Our faculty is extraordinary. We're the right place for the right people. Yeah. And I talk to people all the time is our success is determined, did we help someone along the way? So in Tori's case, it was the beginning of her college career. Katie's case, it was all the way through her master's program and everything in between. And did you play the role at the time when the role was needed? And that's the fun of, it might be a 36-year-old student that comes back to Youngstown State to change their social mobility or whatever it happens to be. And so this is really an important phase of our region. And you talk about the endowment and so forth. There's 14 public universities in Ohio, and we have the 6th largest endowment of the 14. And we're nowhere near the 6th largest school. In fact, we're the 13th largest school. We only have about 11,500 students, but yet our endowment is a result of extraordinary people that came through here and then recognized that had it not been for Youngstown State University, their lives would not have been what it turned out to be. And they're the ones that are paying forward and making sure that our students get the scholarships and get the opportunities that they had. And so we're awfully proud. I think before the stock market started going down a little bit, I think we were somewhere in the neighborhood of $360 million in our endowment. So for a school this size,
that's incredible.
That's pretty good. And I think the stock market has beat us up a little bit, but it'll be back up. And we're really proud of our alumni and friends who believe in us. You always say that people talk about what they believe in, but there's 2 places to check, and you'll really know what they believe in. Check their calendar, because it's where they spend their time, and check their checkbook, because it's where they spend their treasures. That way you really know what they can tell you all they want, what they believe in and what's important to them. You check those 2 places, and you know what's important to someone.
That's good. I didn't see that in the book.
No, it wasn't in the book there. That's because I didn't want to infer that you had too many purses.
That's awesome. So, Lynn, pop up Tori's comment again, because she's going to say exactly how she feels right here. Youngstown allowed me to truly find myself. YSU was the most important part of my journey, and Mom knows that for a fact. So there you go.
Well, that makes us
proud. My sister then says amen. And look what I have. I have this. She got this it's the Youngstown. It was the welcome. They made these. See the little Youngstown little guy, the little penguin, and that's so cute. And then I got it a graduation cap. So you guys, I took Tori back to, and how gracious Mr. Tressel was to meet us for senior pictures, because Tori said, if it wasn't for Youngstown, I wouldn't have had the courage to go on to Ohio State and finish there and then go to law school. That's the ownership of it. That's what she has said with her own words. And so we went and got graduation pictures with you, and thanks again for doing that. So what this year, 2005, I was pulling out my old garb. What was happening in 2005 for the Buckeyes? I don't even.
Well, 2005, we had a good team. We played Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl and beat them pretty good.
Okay. Yeah.
And we were co-champions of the Big Ten. And guys like Santonio Holmes, I think, was a senior. A.J. Hawk, I believe, was a senior. Dante Whitner. We had a number of the kids went on and had unbelievable NFL careers, but we were blessed with so many great kids. And you had Ben Hartsock on there. I think Ben played, 12, 14 years in the NFL. And he just makes you so proud. Now, occasionally, as you know, I don't get in the car very often because I drive around campus in my Gator.
Yeah,
but, when I occasionally get in the car and turn on the radio, sometimes I tune into Ben Hartsock's radio show.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's so much fun to listen to him diagnose things, and he's a deep thinker, as you know, and very insightful, and but I just think about the blessing we've had to have so many wonderful young people, whether they were Ohio State Buckeyes that a lot of people might recognize, or YSU Penguins like Katie Gamble or Tori Bettendorf that maybe not as many people know their names, but they're just as special to us as any other.
I believe you. I know that you mean that. That's the beauty of this. I just know how genuine you are. And we're almost to an hour, and I don't know how it happened, because I could honestly listen to you forever, but I want to value your time as well. Is there any what are you planning, or what are you currently doing? Like you're the president of YSU. Are you doing guest speaking events? Are you what else do you have going on? Not that you should have anything else, but
well, when COVID came along, it really changed the world, and it was a different kind of busy. And so I think all of us are kind of just getting back into our groove. And so getting out a little bit more, but every minute you're away from campus, I feel as if, just like I didn't like being away from my team when I was coaching, I hate being away from the needs of the campus and so forth. One exciting thing that we're working on, and Katie Gamble was part of, we have a new division of workforce education and innovation. One of the biggest needs we have in our nation right now is to develop our workforce. We have so many opportunities, just like Intel down by you. Intel is going to give so many opportunities to not just the people working at Intel and building it and so forth, but all the supply chain companies, and it's going to make the Silicon Heartland and all that type of thing.
Yeah, in Columbus, right in Columbus.
Oh yeah, it's going to be incredible. And so we've been working and developing a whole nother division just to help our students stack on credentials onto their degrees and so forth. But one of the ones in particular that we're working extremely hard on is our Institute for Leadership and Teamwork. And one of the things is I talk to employers and I talk to folks out there looking for the next great employees and so forth, is that they feel as if the students are coming out with all the knowledge that they need, but maybe not some of the other skills, understanding teamwork and discipline and punctuality and selflessness and gratitude and all of those different types of things. So we're in the midst right now of building this Institute for Leadership and Teamwork, and we're going to roll it out with a test group of our students this summer. And then we're going to have 4 or 5 test groups in the fall semester with the hopes of really rolling it out in a big way so that our students can leave here with personal leadership badges in a variety of different areas. And, so it's kind of a new, it's a new innovative approach we have to try to add value to the experience that our students have here. And it's a little bit of a full circle thing for me, Debbie. It's, I began my coaching career working meticulously, constantly with 100 guys. And then, it blossomed into a whole university. And it's kind of my way to circle back and get a little bit more intimately involved with the individual students and so we're working on that. And so probably within the next 4 or 5 months, if you go onto our website, you'll be able to see the Institute for Leadership and Teamwork in full steam ahead. And hopefully this summer we'll get it all wrapped up and we'll have a whole host of what we call guest servant leaders that will serve as the instructors. And every instructive unit is 5 minutes long. And because today's student doesn't want to sit and listen to, 45 minutes, they have to do that in class and so forth. But what extra value can we add to them? It's all going to be in 5-minute bursts.
That's so cool. That is going to work, or it's probably already working.
And they're going to have to fill out goal sheets, and then they'll have a peer coach, another older student who will mentor them. And so anyway, that's our latest thing. That it's kind of the project. We've built all our buildings and done all that kinds of stuff, and we wanted to add something that our students could take with them to hopefully be a difference maker for their lives.
That's amazing. Of course you are going to do that. I mean, I know, I see Lynn down below clapping, and that's so cool too, because let's just face it, like we can't make these kids, learn like we did. So how can you adjust ourselves to help them learn better? So 5-minute bursts here and there, and they're going to say, hey, I'm in it for 5 minutes. I got that. I can do it. Yep. And that's really ingenious, actually. I love that.
And it's going to be a really diverse group, very young group of guest servant leaders, very diverse. So far, I think we have 72 guest servant leaders in our group. And I think 37 are women, 35 are men, and 39 are underrepresented ethnicities. And so, I want all of my students, when they flip on the screen and they decide who they want to learn from, I want every one of them to feel as if, hey, there's plenty of people on this screen that look like me and that maybe major in what I'm majoring in or are doing what I'd like to do. And so we've really, a lot of my former players from YSU, Ohio State, guys I've coached with, people in the business world, trying to keep the ages low because, they don't want to listen to old guy with gray hair, talk to them. They want to, have someone that they can relate to. But so it's going to be a fun thing. And that's going to be kind of, you always have to plan what you're going to do when you get old and gray. And that's something I think I can do, long after I can be a president and that type of thing.
Yeah, well, I think you have a ton of longevity. I don't think there's any worry there, and you'll keep making a difference no matter what. I love it. I love everything. I'm so grateful to you once again. I know I don't believe I've not seen you on any other podcast. It was a big ask, and I certainly appreciate your time, your energy, your effort, the love that you put out. You're just an admirable easy for me to say. Admirable man, human being, and I'm just blessed to know you. And thank you for coming in to each of our homes and sharing some of your wisdom and grace, because you're a class act. I would say that he's a class act when I would see you on the sidelines. And then I got to meet you, and I know he's a total class act. So with that, do you have any parting words or anything else to say?
Well, you know what? I think if we spend enough time with the right people, we can find it.
I love it. With that, we're going to go to our outro. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, wait, see you tonight at 8:00 with Dr. Cohen. Now today at 4:00, I had the Jim Tressel, and he is a rock star, but Dr. Cohen is a doc star. We'll see him tonight at 8 p.m. See you later, everybody.
Yeah.